Hi everyone, and welcome to our first podcast for the EFWU. It's the Equality for Workers Union. My name's Paul Wyatt, and I'm a full-time official for the union. And I'm here today to interview Mizan Muqit, who is the General Secretary and founder or co-founder of the union, and just asking him a few questions about the union. Okay, then. So, Mizan, the union started about 10 years ago, something like that, yeah?
Yeah, Paul, I've always had an interest in trade unions. Prior to creating and co-founding Equality for Workers Union, I was with an established union for about 17 years. My whole life is about workers' rights. I was born in Scotland in a little mining town called Kirkcaldy, and I've always had an interest in protecting and workers' rights and making sure that people are treated fairly. So I moved down to Leeds in 1995. I did a postgrad in HR, and then I joined BT. They had a union in BT, and then became Cellnet, and then O2. And I had a very interesting, stressful time dealing with the membership, but it was rewarding. But then I felt my whole ambition was to have my own union, and a lot of people said I wouldn't get that.
Yeah, I think it's a very brave thing to do, and I know initially, from knowing you for many years, that I think other unions tried to actually put you off starting another union, and I can't think of over the last 20, 30 years of any new unions being started. In fact, it's gone the other way. Most unions over the last 10, 20, 30 years have amalgamated.
Yeah, because it was never done, and they wouldn't think out of the box, and straight away they said no, it's never going to happen. And I just thought, okay, that's fine, but I'll have my ambition, and I kept it there. But the big difference, it wasn't the membership were absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of bureaucracy and politics in big mainstream unions. And today is quite a momentous day also, Paul, because this is the first podcast that a union has done in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking to be one step ahead when it comes to tailoring, embracing the membership and thinking of new ways and thinking out of the box, which other unions just don't actually.
Yeah, okay. And as I say, you had a lot of obstacles along the way. How did you overcome those obstacles?
Well, when I decided to leave that other union, and we started the process of creating a union, it's very, very difficult, Paul.
Mm.
You're a tutor.
Mm.
You've trained thousands and thousands of union reps in your time. So you know all about trade unions. So there was a process that we had to conduct. We were interviewed by the certification officer from London. They wanted to meet us because no one can just create a union.
Yeah.
They wanted to know about my background. They wanted to know about everything, that it was all legitimate. And to start the union from scratch, one sacrifice I did was I worked for free for 18 months to create that union, to build. I'd already had a good relationship with people beforehand, and then when people found out about when the union was created, they wanted to join. But I got a lot of negativity from the previous union. They were very, very unsettled. They were trying to set some terms, etc. I had no relationship with them. And 10 years later, it's changed. EFWU is the preferred union of choice for young people. Most main employers that we deal with all know about EFWU. We are a legitimate British trade union, and we're growing. And we have one thing that I've done. We're in actually a cost of living crisis, but I said during COVID-19 that we'll not raise our prices.
Yeah.
So our price point tailors for the young people, it's $6.99 a month, and we're a 24/7 union. That's another unique selling point that we have for EFWU. We always hear stories, people can't get through to the union after 5 o'clock because they're all finished for work. We are 24/7. Why we're 24/7? Because we don't just deal with people working 9 to 5. The workplace has evolved, Paul, in the last 10, 15 years. They have shifts, people working till 8, 9, there's people working through the night. Those people were forgotten about. Those people have joined EFWU. We can support them. In the early days, would go into companies at 2 o'clock in the morning doing meetings. They were just amazed. Wow. Obviously, they're telling all their other fellow work colleagues, this union are coming at 2 o'clock in the morning. So also, I'm very, very, it's all about recruitment as well. Very important. So I learned a lot about recruitment, handing out leaflets, ducking and diving from security guards. I got a proper buzz out of it. Having confrontations with security guards, you can't do this. Flyering, brilliant. But obviously it's all evolved now.
Yeah, and I know that some most of the unions, I'd suggest, they're only tailored to specific industries.
Yeah.
Like retail or Usdaw, for example. I think they're mainly retail. What about the EFWU? What industries do you cover? Do you just tailor yourself to one industry, or do you cover many industries? Can anybody become a member, no matter what job they do?
One thing that I identified straight away, Paul, we are a general trade union for all sectors in the private, public, charity sector. We've got members from a takeaway driver up to a senior individual in a company on 100 grand a year. Anyone can join our union, and it's an individual's legal right to join any union of their choice.
Yeah.
And as being independent, we have recruited people have been joining from other companies that may have an in-house union and they've not been happy about it, but they've got to understand it's the individual's legal right to join any union of their choice.
Yeah.
All we can do, and I tell my staff, we do our best, Paul, and we take if there's any issues that are going to lead to further action, we are bound by our obligations. We have to inform our member, we have to take action. A lot of other unions I call it towing the company line, because they've got recognition, they've got collective bargaining, they don't want to upset the employer, etc. I see that a lot. I call it cover-ups, actually.
I think, yes, it's sweetheart deals. I think that's one of the terms that's used, yeah.
And we've got, in the last sort of 10 years, how it's evolved. It has been a lot of long hours, driving the union forward, getting recruitment. People were joining different companies. From where we are to where we are today, we are a bona fide, legitimate trade union on the YouGov list of trade unions. And employers now know about us, and that's key. They know that we are the preferred choice. Their employees are joining our union. They're not joining any other union. And also, I'm with people who are joining the union. I've dealt with their fathers, their mothers, their uncles, their aunties, their children, nephews, nieces are joining the union. And I think that's one thing that with the previous union, I was very good at recruitment. I used to sign up 1,000 members a year. So I know how the recruitment, and I identified something, especially in West Yorkshire. I looked around some of the black, Asian, minority ethnic areas, and I was thinking to myself, this was about maybe 15 years ago. I said, those households, they are going to be the generation, they're going to be working. And I used to say that. They never took any interest. Then, hold and behold, 15 years later, it's conveyor belt style now, Paul. And I think what's important is having, with myself, they say my name. I'm not bigging myself up. They say my name, and straight away it resonates with a union. I get lots and lots of calls every day. The team are getting lots of calls. Without even bothering, they'll just phone me up. They want to join the union, which is fantastic. They've heard about us. I think prior to COVID, we were going to a lot of companies. They weren't happy about it, but they can't do anything about it. And then COVID-19 came. But with COVID-19, that was probably our biggest recruitment year. It was pandemonium, but we had high recruitment during COVID-19, and it's all about creating relationships, with some informal, I call it informal relationships with companies, because if they want to fight us, we will fight them to the bitter end, Paul. Do you understand? We are not going to bend for them. However, if they come with a conciliatory attitude, I'll consider it and I talk to them. But they don't understand. They're not going to ride roughshod with our members in any shape or form. And I think also the workforce has changed in the last 20 years, Paul. People move around. So one good thing about the union is they can take their union membership to any other company that they go to,
Yeah. I think an important thing you've said there as well is, and a lot of younger people out there, I know through talking to them themselves, don't know that they've got a legal right to join a union. And also some of them think they have to tell the employer that they are joining a union or that they are a member of a union. But they don't. I don't know if you want to...
that's a preconception.
That.
First of all, there is our main focus from day one has been the unrecognised. It means that they don't have a union in place. So they were difficult to break in, but once you've got in there, it's brilliant because there's an awareness. People didn't realise, you can join a union. In this country, between 18 and 25, Paul, there's only 8% in the union.
Yeah.
It's an untapped market.
Yeah.
And I think with other unions, they're so bureaucratic about matters. We have committee meetings, we can get things done straight away. This is why once you've got that sorted, the membership, getting people joined up, representing our members, that's key. Yeah. And I think individuals don't understand. Meetings can be rescheduled. Formal meetings can be rescheduled up to 7 days. But with the people that are joining, we do have our website. It's very self-explanatory. It tells them all the benefits. It tells them the price. It's got all our contact details there.
And you can join through the website. Yeah.
You can join through the website, and I brought in the new word. We're a digital trade union, Paul, and the reason why I say digital trade union, because people now are all online. They're on their phones, they're constantly looking at different apps, etc. So I've used that to my advantage when building up EFWU, whereby I used to do prior to COVID, I would be doing interviews with members after meetings, putting them on Snapchat. I've used Instagram. I use all socials available. I'm on LinkedIn, but mostly on LinkedIn is there's HR managers and owners of companies and directors, etc. They like to see what we're doing, which is fine. Who we are, which is good. And one good thing is we've had a lot of press coverage in the last 10 years also, Paul. Especially during COVID-19, we were exposing these employers, putting profit over employees' lives during COVID-19. Any cases that we are successful in employment tribunal, we publicise, we send it to the membership. They need to be aware, That is one thing that I found that other unions wouldn't do, personally. That's my own personal opinion. But it's good to show people what we're doing because they're interested, and we send our newsletters out every month. I can know how many people read the newsletter. They've got all this technology now. You can see how many people open it, how many people read it, and it's an effective tool. And I think with the young people, Snapchat is the number one tool. I've been using that for about 8 years.
Yeah,
it's the most effective tool. For especially with the union, because people have got nowadays very short attention spans, and they like flicking and looking, and they like that sort of 10-second burst of what's happening. I was recently in Bangkok 2 weeks ago, and we had a verdict of a case, and I did a video
Yeah.
while walking in the streets of Bangkok, informing the membership that we were successful of an employment tribunal, which that case will be released. We're going to a remedy hearing in May, so that's going to be a biggie. So that's going to be heavily publicised. I haven't publicised that fully yet. And what I found is no one had ever created a union, Paul. There are smaller unions. There's the musicians union. There's other unions, but they're very tailored to that particular, industry.
Bakers Union and
But with EFWU, by keeping it general, and our vision is to unionize the company, and I think with the new Employment Rights Act coming through Parliament at the moment, this government is going to give unions a lot more access, so we can go to workplaces. And that's the difficulty. Can you imagine, before, if you're a unionized company, you can set up inside the building, outside the cafeteria, give out leaflets. We couldn't do that. So we had to do alternative ways to recruit, Paul.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be open to all unions.
I think that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. I mean, the main reason people in general don't join a union is because they've never been asked. How do you go about recruiting members?
Right, so our recruitment, and you won't believe this, Paul, is word of mouth. It's unbelievable. The number of... If you deal with one member and you do a great job, they're going to tell 10 people.
Yeah.
They're going to tell 15 people, this union were absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they did X, Y, and Z for us. Also, with the existing membership that members that I've known for 20 years plus, they tell their children, they tell their relatives, they tell everyone about a union. So when the first thing, if anyone has an employment issue, the first thing they'll think of, union. First thing they'll think of, Mizan. My phones, I've got 2 phones, I've had them for years, the numbers. That's the most valuable asset that I have, Paul. You wouldn't believe it. I've got thousands and thousands of contacts on my phones, yeah? Obviously, my phone's locked, but that's the most valuable resource is the contacts.
And I understand that you actually, though, physically have teams that go out and meet potential members, going into the workplaces and recruiting that way as well. Do you want to?
Yeah, that's entirely impossible because they're not going to give access to a union that they don't recognise. So we do guerrilla tactics, like Paul. We do the leafleting outside buildings. I find that very effective. I like that old school of recruitment as well, Paul. In their face, they're looking at the window. I recently went a couple of months ago. I went to Greg's Bakery, and at the window, the HR manager, we're on public land, by the way, HR manager's taking a video of me, and I was just waving to her. I said, yeah, I was just waving to her, and she's taking a video of me, which is a GDPR issue. I could ask for that video. But I like that shock factor, and people are walking past, we're giving out forms. That's the way we do grassroots recruitment as well. And we've got some more planned in the summer, in the coming months. And that, I find that, because then they have an awareness. We did one, remember, outside New Day?
Yeah.
And I told them, give them out the sweets, give them out the forms. People are fully aware it's all on public land. They can't do absolutely zero. Security can't do zero. And the employer has to accept that. And that, again, at least we're showing, I think also, you have to show your face, Paul.
Yeah.
People need to know, there is a union around. We have dealt with... Our recruitment, especially within the care industry, has been phenomenal. Because in the care industry, it's a high number of black, Asian, minority ethnics or care workers, and they get treated really badly, Paul. So we've had a really high uptake of care workers. To deal with the care homes, some of them are a nightmare. They don't really know how to deal with a union. They start doing cover-ups. They get very unsettled. They don't like being challenged, but we always adhere to, it's called Section 10 of the Employment Rights Act 1999. The role is very clear about the union rep. And we're now breaking in the last sort of 12 months, recognised companies from the public sector, DWP, HMRC, members have been people from those organisations have been joining our union. So their companies are so unaware, they're so used to one union. When another union comes, they don't know how to deal with it.
Do you find that some members, if they're members of another union, they are not aware that they can join any union?
Yeah, that again, because they have the advantage of when the individual joins the company, they'll have an induction and they'll tell them, here you go, you can join the union. They don't know that you can join other unions.
Yeah. Legally.
Because I always stress to people, it's the individual's legal right to join a union of their choice. And we're probably one of the cheapest in the UK, $6.99.
Yeah.
Other unions are double the price and have been increasing the prices.
Yeah.
We haven't. That price of $6.99, Paul, has been there since 2015.
I believe you have other benefits as well.
Yeah, we've got a lot of on our page. I like, local businesses.
Yeah.
Approach me. We've got a discount membership, a discounts page on our website. And they get to see what discounts that we offer. I got a lot of people contact me, and it's good because it's helping local businesses. We're in a cost of living crisis.
And that's restaurants and places like that.
Restaurants, photographers, shops, just different places that offer members discount. The young people like eating out, so there's quite a lot of discounts on places to eat out.
Yeah, okay. I think as well, some members, potential members, and some employees believe that you're not allowed to go in and represent members. And I've had that from members as well, and they've said, you can't come in and represent us. Do you want to say something about?
Yeah, so that's a quick fix. They don't read their own policies, Paul.
Yeah.
So the policy was that if it's in a union, they'll name the union, because if it's an in-house union, but then it says other unions.
Yeah.
But we have to correct them on that, and they've got no option.
Yeah.
We've had some organisations are so petty. They use that COVID-19 because when you walk into the office, you walk in, do the meeting. They were getting so unsettled because we're actually going there. Oh, they were using the hidden veil of COVID-19. The office is not open. It was absolutely pathetic, and we use it to our own advantage. Obviously you've got teams, and that's why also it's widened our scope for recruitment, because we do have a lot of our members who just work from home on a permanent basis, or they're hybrid. Different parts of the country now. As long as they're hybrid, they can join our union.
Yeah, and the representation, it's not just face to face. You do it on Teams.
Yeah, we do it on Teams. It's a mix. I think I have been telling the team to go out more. I think it's very important to have that face to face physical presence of your union. But some people might just prefer online. We deal with a lot of neurodivergent members who feel a little bit uncomfortable face to face. They like doing it online, which is absolutely perfect. It's a reasonable adjustment. We tell the employers they're okay about it. So when it comes to these employers, they can be a little bit difficult. Some of them like to badmouth us. Call us in a cowboy operation, backstreet. It's absolutely pathetic. Yeah, they wouldn't say that in my face, but they like to spread malicious rumors. But they don't understand. In my business, this business, good publicity, bad publicity, it works in my favor, Paul.
It's all publicity.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me. I'm thinking, great, because they'll think, oh, they'll want to know. So let me find out about this apparent backstreet. And then when they get there, when they're making inquiries, they just have to put EFWU or my name on Google, and they'll see for themselves. I tell people that just put it on Google, you'll see for yourself what we're about. And I think it's very important. My team always say that I am the face of the union. A lot of unions, people don't even know who their GS, General Secretary. I'm the General Secretary of the union. I run this union to the best of my ability. I'm led by our members. We'll do our best. And my vision and my next on my wish list, I want to unionize a company. And I think once these new regulations, Employment Rights Bill comes through, we're going to unionise a company, and I'm going to keep it a big surprise who we're going to get.
Yeah, I think you'd find as well most ordinary members, they just want representation and they don't understand the workings of the union. But I think it's worth putting out there that General Secretary, if you ask a member, what is the General Secretary of the union, they won't even know what a General Secretary is. But I think that it's worth saying that the General Secretary is actually the boss of the union.
I tell them that. The way they understand, I run the union, because I've done thousands and thousands of meetings, Paul. I've been all over the country. I've dealt with lots of employers. Some of the stories I can tell you, some of these meetings have just been absolutely out of control. It's like literally they want to lamp me. Some of these managers and senior managers, they get so agitated, and all you're doing is just going by the facts, raising points, and exposing their lies, and that's what they can't.
And that's being cool, calm, and professional.
Yeah, it's got to be all about professional. Not there's a way. I call it psychological warfare. Some employers I'm very familiar with. I know they're going to be fine. Some that we don't know what they're about. Within 30 seconds what they're going to be like. So if they're going to be difficult, we're going to be difficult, Paul. We're not going to take any nonsense from these companies. Okay, it's got to be our way, not their way. The member has got to be treated in a fair, reasonable manner. And yes, the companies, I think a lot of members don't understand. Some companies make commercial decisions. They just want to get rid of people. And I think now with the Employment Rights Bill coming, this 2-year rule for unfair dismissal is the best thing. This is a game changer.
Yeah.
The 2-year rule is going to be removed. And a lot of these companies use that 2-year rule as a weapon against our members. But there's always ways that we find to circumvent that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah. And I think what we'll do, in the future, we are doing other podcasts, and we will cover the Employment Rights Bill, which doesn't come into effect till they're talking about starting in the summer of 25 and actually implementing it sometime in 2026.
Yeah.
But I think, we'll focus on that with another podcast.
Yeah, definitely. And with when I also, Paul, I'm the first ethnic minority general secretary in this country, in a union. And we'll go back to the naysayers said, you can't do it. These are people who have been in the union for 20, 30 years. They didn't have the vision to even think about it. They didn't have the capacity or the capability to even think about it. They didn't want to make the sacrifices. They were okay, comfortable. They thought it was unthinkable. And that previous union that I worked for, we are the number one now when it comes to young people, Paul.
Yeah. Just about young people as well, a few questions on that. I've looked at some TUC statistics, and it's something like 22% of the full union membership, which is countrywide UK over 6 million, only 22.4, I think it is, percent are young members. Why do you think young members aren't joining unions?
You hit it on the nail. They've never been asked.
Yeah.
And I think also when the Employment Rights Bill, it's going to be on their contract.
Yeah.
About joining their union. Yeah. But I think also that's why I always heavily use socials, especially Snap. There's thousands on there. However, some I might not be members. I always push and put articles about union, about cases, about what we're doing, etc. It's an awareness, it's an awareness piece. We do get some individuals, we do have pre-existing issues, but we're like all unions, if it's a pre-existing issue that predates joining the union, it's advice, it's advice only. There's no representation. That's why it's always best for people to join the union. Yeah. And then if anything happens in the future, they're going to get full representation. And at this moment, $6.99, a burger is £9. And a burger you can eat within, 10 minutes? The union you're going to have any time, if there's a problem, if you want speak to a rep, speak to me, any concerns. And we do sometimes get emergency situations, Paul. People are they're frantic. We pick up the phone. Sometimes we will be in meetings, but we always endeavour to phone our members back on the same day or straight away if once it's practical for us to do that.
Yeah. So you're roughly talking about £1.75 a week, and that's an insurance for your job.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And we have changed a lot of people's lives, Paul, with people have been treated so abysmally by employers, and it's gone to external arbitration, and we're happy for the individual if it's been settled or they've won in the tribunal. It's life-changing for them.
Yeah.
And they know that they got justice, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was very, very important. The last union that I was with, the previous one, I know I keep on mentioning them, they used to tell me to calm down. I'm like, eh? Can you believe that, Paul?
Yeah.
They used to say, because they didn't want to upset the employer. They said, calm down. And I just thought, this is what I talk about, bureaucracy, politics, all this kind of nonsense. We don't have any of that. Okay. Yeah. And that's why we're very transparent, straight to the point. Obviously, I'm straight to the point, Paul.
Yeah. And you don't have any political allegiance.
No, that's another thing that's very important. A lot of these unions have a political fund. We are not a political union whatsoever. It's an individual choice what political party they support. I support a political party, but I'm not going to put it in the faces of the members. Oh, we're affiliated to one particular party. We might have people, they could be put off by that. That's another key selling, that we are not affiliated to any political parties.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that with the, when people come to join the union and they've got pre-existing issues, you do give advice, which is good. As far as I'm aware, no other union does that.
Oh, is that right? Right.
As far as I'm aware, no other union will give advice or anything. And it's. I know it's been in the rule book that you've for some unions, you've got to be a member for 10, 20, 30 weeks before they'll give you any representation whatsoever.
All right.
I don't think that's changed, to be honest. What would you say? What's your message to young members about why unions matter? What would you say to them? Because some of them see unions as irrelevant. They don't know about the history of unions. They don't know much about unions at all, to be honest.
We have a lot of young people joining, Paul, but we've also got other people from other age groups. We've got people over 40, over 50. I'm over 50. Everyone's joining, but with the youth of today, it's become, in the workplaces, I think it's down to the schools as well. It's changed in the school. They don't tell them. At school, they used to tell you about, unions. They don't tell them. And I think when they come, it's a big transitional change for young people when they come to the workplace.
Yeah.
And they do get bullied. They do get micromanaged. They do get gaslighting. There's a lot of that going on, Paul. And with young people, they've got to understand family comes first, very important. What comes important after that? Your job.
Yeah.
And also one thing we deal with a lot of, that's the name Equality for Workers Union. Brilliant name that I thought of. That just encapsulates.
Yeah.
Because we deal with all people with disabilities, minorities. With the disability, there's so many disabilities at the moment, Paul, with mental or physical impairments. And the biggest mental impairment is stress, depression, general anxiety disorder, neurodivergent. There's a lot of autism as well. Adults are getting diagnosed, and employers are struggling with that,
Yeah, okay then. I think we've covered most of the things for now, Mizan. Thanks for the interview. It's been very interesting, and I think we've covered a lot of points.
No, it's great, Paul. And obviously, Paul was the trainer. Paul trained me all those years ago. And I remember I came to
many years ago,
and you probably never thought, Paul, out of all the thousands of people that you helped and trained, that you'd be sat with someone here
No.
who runs a trade union.
Yeah, and as I said at the beginning, you've been very brave, and you're going from success to success. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think no one likes to work for free. I work for free because short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
Because I believed in that. I sacrificed a lot, Paul, Some days I was living on microwave meals because I was just busy. We're out leafleting at night. So some of these companies were out at 10 o'clock at night leafleting. I was absolutely on it with this recruitment. And then other people would hear from when I dealt with them previously, and they wanted to join. So they were joining as well. So I had a very good standing with people that I'd dealt with, previously to EFWU. I think at the time I had an office in that building. You had about maybe in the heyday there was about 3,500 people. Obviously, it's all changed now. It's all been outsourced overseas, but that was the foot standing that I had, and I was again in that previous union. I was the only ethnic minority there, and I was bringing all the membership. I was going into different markets that they never even thought about, the non-recognised, because you can't just rely on your recognised market. You have to, because people retire, people are not, they're not backfilling. You've got to think out of the box, and it's that the world's your oyster. There's just so much out there, and we're just growing, and we're continuing to grow, and that's the vision of EFWU, and to recognition one, and we deal with I call them our core employers. Our core employers is where we've got a very, very heavy membership. Those companies, obviously, it's a non-recognised company, but one day they're going to be recognised, and then it's going to be a game changer.
Yes, because I've heard of one or two, one company in particular that's approached you and maybe talking about recognition.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm always open, employers out there, the big ones that I deal with. You can have a voluntary recognition, as well, Paul.
Yeah.
You're our trainer as well. You're the industrial relations man for the union, and you've been fantastic as well, Paul. When you've come, we got you out of retirement.
Yeah, no, dragged me out of retirement. Yeah.
Dragged you out of retirement. The members love you. You've been in there, and I think it was an eye opener for you as well, Paul.
Yeah,
because you were probably more used to the recognised environment, and then going to that non-recognised environment.
Refreshing.
Yeah. You saw there's just things that you would have thought this would never happen. It happens, and also just finally, we do get a lot of sexual harassment at the moment. Obviously, the new sexual harassment prevention regulations have come. It's out of control. There's this, and these companies are doing absolutely nothing about it, and which is they actually protect them, but they get exposed. Absolute travesty.
I know you've had a few successful cases.
Yeah, we have, and it's all about people. The fear factor. People think, if I do something, they're going to sack me. No, they won't, because it's a protected. You're claiming a protected act. So you can't be victimized, because if you were victimized, that's another claim, victimization. And we're on the YouGov list of trade unions, EFWU on there. We're very transparent. And it was a pleasure speaking to you today.
And you, Mizan, and people need to get out there, join the union, and always remember there's strength in numbers. So the more members we have, the stronger we are. Okay. Thanks for today, Mizan. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this podcast. You can follow and subscribe to us. And also, we will have some interesting guests coming up in the future. And this is the first of many podcasts. Thank you.